Welcome to the Changemaker Session. Tonight, our workshop is what to do with the anger. I want to welcome again all you sweet souls who are here live. It means a lot to me. And to those of you who are watching the replay, so glad you showed up for this. I'm Kimberly Carroll. I am a coach for changemakers. And so my work is to help activists, social entrepreneurs, healers, educators, anybody who's trying to make the world a better place, to help you do the inner work, and then help you to create those high performance habits and strategies that will just basically make you unstoppable, because we need you to be in this for the long haul, folks. You're not only important to me, you're important to the world. And I got into this work because I was kind of like, who's caring for the caregivers? Who's taking care of those that are taking care of the world? And there weren't a lot out there. So I really want you to think of this next, hour and 20 minutes as your chance to be taken care of a little bit. Okay, deal? Excellent. Tonight, we are going to talk about the thorny issue of anger. And actually, this is actually a theme I love. I love it because there is such energy to anger. Okay, there is such wisdom to anger. It's just a juicy topic all around. It can also destroy relationships. It has a really handy way of destroying the world too. So that's why I like to talk about it. It's a powerful topic that I think we all need to have a little bit better of a grip on. So most people that are alive today, I don't think have ever witnessed such a time of polarization. Would you agree? Like, does it feel like the world is just at totally different ends of the spectrum? In North America, folks, like, not only can we not agree on the best way to run a healthy democracy, we can't even agree on whether democracy should exist. Okay. The institutional pillars that everyone once considered authorities, like science, like the media, like the government, most, half the people don't even believe in them, or don't believe them. And meanwhile, we've got conspiracy theories that are considered gospel by many. It's just, there's just so much going on that makes it hard for us to see eye to eye. And there's just an urge on all sides right now to throw off the gloves and just downright brawl. And even though I know that can feel really, really good in the moment, this will ultimately only lead to further pain and further isolation for everybody down the road. Okay. And that's the thing that I think we all know, but in the moment, we just can't hold on to that. And so tonight, I really want you to get to know anger and what's going on behind anger a little bit better, and then take you through a process of when that anger comes up. How do you use it as a gateway? How do you use it as a gateway to healing, to transformation, to liberation? Because when we've got an emotion with that kind of energy to it, it can be transformational. Okay, so check the waiting room. Thank you. You folks are so great. I think it's gonna show me. Oh my God, 4 people are in the waiting room. Thank you. Oh no. Okay. I'm gonna admit all of these folks. Hello, hello. Hi, gang. I'm so sorry to leave you in the waiting room. I forgot that there were people still in the waiting room. So I am now going to put on the no, I'm not. I'll just keep on checking the waiting room. Okay, excellent. Hello, Carrie. Hi, Millie. Who else? Jackie. We had Jackie join us. Hi, folks. Sorry to keep you in the waiting room so long. I got talking. Okay, excellent. All right, so I just got started, folks. We are just talking about getting to know anger better, in order to use it as a way to actually transform. Okay, transform our relationships, transform ourselves, and transform the world. So I want to talk about anger. I think we all feel like we know anger pretty well. We're all pretty used to it. But I do feel like there's actually a lot going on with anger that we have to learn. I've learned a lot about anger over the years. I'm sure I will continue to learn more about anger over the years. The first thing I really would like to make a differentiation about is instructive anger versus destructive anger. Now, your anger as a change maker is natural and it is understandable. Okay, I think it was Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine that said many years ago, if you're not angry, you're not paying attention. Okay, folks, the economic inequality is mind blowing right now. The racial justice, the democracy threats, the horror we're causing billions of animals, how we're decimating the environment. There are so many reasons to be angry. Now, add to that as a change maker, doing your work and in trying to make a difference in this world, you're often going up against the status quo. Most of the world is against you. Sometimes your own friends and family are against you. And hell, sometimes if you're in a social justice movement, you even have people in the movement against you. Okay. It's very anger inducing. So that's the first thing I want to really get straight. Anger is not wrong. Okay. It's what we do with the anger that makes it instructive or destructive. So the next thing I want you to know about anger is that anger is actually a rich emotion with lots of intelligence. Okay. This is a really great way. I can't remember who said this originally that just stuck with me. That anger is a cue that our needs are not being met. Okay. Anger tells us that our needs are not being met. Now, the difference where this kind of forks in the road is that anger sometimes isn't justified towards the person or the people that you're directing it towards. Sometimes our needs aren't being met by ourselves and we're blaming others for that. Sometimes people are going at us so hard that we're feeling in danger. So our need for safety is very much being threatened. So there's a spectrum of sort of what is sort of an actual valid outside source of threat to our needs, and what is sprouting up from some of our own wounds, our own fears, our own deep-seated damage that we have sustained in our lives and carry with us. And the first thing that I really need folks to understand here tonight is your anger not only is understandable and natural, but I need you to have some compassion around it. Okay. I need you to recognize, when I get angry, it means my needs aren't being met. Okay. It's not because I'm a horrible Hulk, like, I'm the Incredible Hulk and I turn on a dime. It's because probably the angrier you get, the more hurt and the more scarcity and the more that you feel is missing. Okay. So Ruth King, wonderful activist, has said anger is initiatory. And this is when we're talking about this instructive anger. This is what I'm talking about. It's that anger that gives you just enough sort of energy to get off your ass and take action. Okay. Make a change, stretch in a scary way, say no. Okay. That is the anger, I think, that probably has pushed many of us to originally do what we do. Okay. Or it's at least been the thing that's gotten us off the couch. Would you say, like, if you folks were to think back what originally anger means, saying, it was that spark of anger, like, what the hell, this outrage. Now, in fact, if somebody doesn't have allow anger Okay. And there's a lot of people out there that anger is not in their emotional vocabulary. And if they are not capable of anger, they don't allow anger, these are the people that will often stay in situations that don't honor them, or they'll go far too long without boundaries. Okay. So that is anger in its instructive form. It's that anger that can process and transform that can become a powerful guide. But now we need to talk about destructive anger. Okay, so destructive anger is the kind of anger that takes us hostage. Okay, and we start acting out from that sort of primal limbic place that's when it can become so destructive and dangerous. Okay, or again, I'm speaking to you, but I'm also wanting you to think about those that are holding anger in the world and those that are being destructive and dangerous. Um, so I love this little adage. If you speak out when you're seething, you'll make the best speech you ever regret. Okay. Um, when you're angry, it often means that your deepest emotional wounds, whether that's not feeling good enough, feeling powerless, feeling alone, they've been triggered in some way. Okay, your sense of safety has been triggered. Your sense of unsafety has been triggered. And what happens when wounds are triggered? We devolve. So let me explain the biology behind this. And not that I'm a biologist, but it gives a little bit of I think it really sort of helps us to have a bit more forgiveness of ourselves as humans. But so we have the older part of our brain, okay, the limbic, or as we can refer to, the reptile brain, and that one's been part of our biology forever. And that's where our primal sort of reactive nature is. Okay, it's survival, it's fight or flight. Um, and then we have our frontal cortex, and that is the newest part of our brain as we evolved. Okay. And how that evolved is as society sort of required more collaboration for success, more societies, more bigger communities, working together to grow crops and things like that. We started to, oh, speaking, here's my hello, everybody. Cedar wants to say hi because he hates being left out. So yeah, this part of our brain developed because we needed more empathy and we needed more bonding in order for us to have collaborations of success. Okay, so this is what happened when you get triggered. What happens is you drop your frontal cortex like a hotcake and you go straight to the limbic brain. Okay, it's like the frontal cortex goes offline. It's nowhere to be found. The compassion, the empathy, the nuance gone. Okay, and instead what we have is we have this fight or flight limbic brain that takes over. All right, and fight, the fight part of that limbic brain response is anger. Okay, this is the path of this automatic threat response. And you know that you're in anger because you get into very childlike black and white thinking, you lose your nuance, you talk but not listen. Yes, Robert, this is the amygdala hijacking. Absolutely. Um, so, folks, this is like almost a form of temporary insanity. And it's really important not to trust this place fully. Okay, not until you've had a chance to explore it and to process it. So again, some of the clues that you're in this place is you're not open to other viewpoints. You're only willing to take in reaffirming information. Sometimes this place is it's so activated, you can't even see straight. Okay. You're like vibrating. Has anybody had that experience of being so angry that you're like, yeah, oh, I totally have. I this red hair. I mean, yeah, it's not natural red, but it still indicates the temper is that I've had to work with over the years. Um, so the other thing that I think is important is anger becomes especially destructive when you start organizing your identity around the anger or the righteousness. Okay, that's when anger goes from being a state to being a trait. And it really hardens your identity as this attacker. And sometimes when you're angry, you're actually feeling yourself as a victim, but what the world is seeing is as a victim. Cheryl, thank you for reminding me to check the waiting room. I think everybody's in here, but thank you. I will keep checking. So yeah, this is the space that a lot of the world has gotten into recently. And, just a quote from Jack Handy. I don't know if you remember the Jack Handy quotes from Saturday Night Live about how hardwired humans are for this state. He said, I can picture in my mind a world without war, a world without hate. And I can picture us attacking that world because they'd never expect it. So that's it. We have this great thing going on, but we just have this sort of our limbic brain wants us to get out there and attack before we can be attacked. And so I think one of the most important things that change makers sometimes lose touch with is we want to create a better world. No matter what arena we're coming from, we want a better world. And I'm going to guess a more compassionate world, a more safe world, a more just world, a more healthy world, a more peaceful world, a more connected world. And folks, we do not get that kind of world if our whole population is raging. Okay, so if we're trying to build a better world, we need to start figuring out a way to not live in a place of anger, resentment, bitterness, misanthropy. We've got to learn to find a way to live in those qualities. Does that make sense? Okay. So I mentioned the Ruth King quote earlier, anger is initiatory, but it actually goes on. The full quote is, anger is initiatory, but not transformative. Okay, so that is what this means. It means it can be the spark that lights you up to get you moving, but it is never going to create the world, this world of love and health and connectedness that we dream of. Okay, so the other thing that I want to talk about that I'm sure many of you have a clue of, but it really helps to keep in mind so that we can deal with other people with anger in a much more calm, compassionate way. And that is anger comes from pain. Okay? Pain. And unusually the flavor of pain is fear. Sometimes not, but it's often a fear response. And so when we're more personally raw and wounded, we're more prone to feeling hurt, and that can lead to striking out in anger. I don't know, have you noticed that the angriest people, you can almost palpably feel their hurt? Like if you can get past, them spitting in your face, they're like an oozing wound. You can feel the hurt oozing from them. And so, I think one thing that we would be really, it would be really good for us to understand as change makers, that, that angry people, I like to compare them to, like, say, a wild animal who's trapped, who's in a trap. Okay, or an animal who, you come into your cottage and there's like a squirrel that got caught in there, and you're coming up to them and they're in the corner and they're like, they're lunging and they're making that sound and they're baring their teeth and everything, and you're like, oh wow, so angry, but you recognize it's because they're so little and they don't have a lot of defenses and they're so freaking scared. Okay, that's what's happening. They look like they're a monster, the way they're going on, but it's so clear in a circumstance like that, they're just so scared. And that's really what it comes down to with people who are angry. I mean, there might be more layers to get to that fear. It may not be as much obvious, but I'll pretty well guarantee that's what's happening underneath. And so we would do very well to remember that so that we're not constantly entering into this damaging and draining cycle of reactivity with those who oppose us. So now I want to tell you about how strong fear is in creating this sort of anger and righteousness. So I had a student actually, back in for a few years before the pandemic, a couple of years. She'd done a program of mine. Oh, waiting room, um, and a lovely person, very person that had a lot of wounds, though. And the pandemic came on, and I remember talking to her and her saying she was terrified. She was terrified because we didn't at that first 2 weeks we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know what was going to happen. And she was like, I don't want to like I can't go out of my house. I don't want to move. Like I'm alone. I don't have anybody here with me and all that sort of thing. And so I tried to do some work with her around some ways of, letting go and relaxing around it. Um, then the week later, I talked to her again and she was calmer. And she said, you know what? I've been doing more research and this, pandemic thing and the coronavirus, not, it's not that big of a deal. I was like, oh, okay, wow. Um, and she's like, yeah, I actually saw my friend yesterday, and this is when everybody was under a complete lockdown. And I was like, oh, interesting. Okay, just be careful. Week 3 comes back. I talk with her, and she's like, yeah, this is all just a big hoax. It's all a big hoax, and um, everybody, this is made up by the media and blah blah blah, all that. You know the story. Anyway, I basically try to say to her, we often, as uh, when we're scared, sometimes it's really important for us to have certainty. And so sometimes we cling on to things, really hard. And anyway, I never heard from her again. But I saw her with the Trump "Make America Mega" hat online a few weeks later. So, so just to illustrate the lengths that fear can drive somebody. Okay, she was willing to go hook, line, and sinker into conspiracy theories, into a community that wasn't hers, to believe, to drink the Kool-Aid, and um, and just because she could not sit with the vulnerability, with the uncertainty. And I think that's our biggest problem, folks, in this society. We don't know how to be okay with vulnerability, with fear, with hurt. Okay, it's a big failing of our society that we're not taught how to deal with this very normal, regularly occurring thing in our life called fear. Okay, so what I want to do is I just want to be able to, quickly tell you a couple of things that I think, are important to keep in mind when it gets hard to work with anger. And then we're going to go into the process of working with the anger. So if it's not clear already, I really need to hit home that indulging in anger, staying in a place of anger, it's not good for the world. If you're somebody who's popped up on rage and righteousness, and there's no judgment. I have been that person. You're not going to love this part. Okay, you're not going to love hearing this part. But rage, manipulation, shame, punishment, intimidation, those ways of being may get people to bend in a certain way for a short time. Like they may persuade people to change their ways for a short time, but again, it's not going to help build that compassionate, just, peaceful world that we yearn for. Okay, the only way to do that is if we live the compassion, justice, and peace day in and day out, even in the face of our wounds getting pressed. And yes, June, not good for our physiology either. I want you to think about it. When was the last time that you lashed out angrily And it helped. Like it helped the other person to be more cooperative. Not often, right? And judgment, anger, defensiveness, shutting down that comes from anger, they all impair your ability to build bridges. Okay, so our job here as change makers, one of our big jobs is to learn how to stop being so bloody reactionary. Okay, and that's going to require us to be able to sit with some of that vulnerability. So the other thing I wanted to say about, not being good for our for us, for our physiology, um, there was a teacher who said, um, somebody was being aggressive with him, and he stayed in his center and just sort of and responded in a very calm way. And afterwards, the students were asking, he spoke to this person and tried to reason with them and tried to show them compassion. And afterwards, his students went, why did you bother? That person was so far gone that you were never going to change their mind. And he said, what I did may not have done anything to change that person, but it does something to me. Okay. It fortifies this state of you being a compassionate, peaceful person, a person that is also in power, because when somebody else is able to make you angry, they have taken over your power. Okay. They've taken your power away from you. All right. So, having that confidence that you can stay in your center, even when others are poking at you or even kicking at you or even coming at you. It creates this peace, this peace and this sense of power. And that sense of power, it ripples out. Um, I also have another question to ask you. Do you like yourself when you're acting out of anger? God, sometimes when my partner and I've had an argument, and I just sort of press rewind in my brain, I'm like, who was that person? Eek. It's not who I want to be. I certainly wouldn't want to broadcast out to the world. And so yeah. So the last thing I'll say as far as how it hurts you is, the Buddha put it this way. He said, getting angry with another person is like throwing cut coals with bare hands. Both people get burned. Okay, Cher said, yeah, so just like it. Very embarrassed, usually. Okay, so let's talk about the process of how to deal with anger. So to start this section off, I would love for you to just take us a few seconds and think about a pattern of anger that you have. It could be like just it might be a relationship where you get angry a lot. It might be a situation you get angry a lot. Like maybe you do tabling for like for a group, and there's just a lot of vitriol that comes your way. Or maybe there is a person close to you that you just have these really sort of big blowouts with. Or maybe it's just like it's a certain news story that every time you read it, it's just like your blood boils. Okay. So we're going to use this kind of to make our exploration a little bit more visceral tonight. Okay. So bringing to mind a place where anger really comes up for you. And you might write it down if you have your pen and paper. And if there isn't a pattern, like if you don't have a pattern of anger, how about the last time you got angry? Okay, just choose the last time you got angry. And now I just want to explore this a little bit. It's always good to just kind of get a little bit more aware of how your anger is playing out. So I want you to notice in this pattern of anger, do you get like outwardly aggressive, like lashing out, loud, threatening? Or you more passive aggressive, like subtle jabs, like irritation, sort of ongoing resentment? Just to be aware. Because again, for some of you, it's not going to be this big Hulk like, oh, I'm turning into it's going to be more subtle. And that's what you're going to have to use as your cue for anger. So the most important thing in dealing with anger is that we pause and deepen our presence in order to explore and process our anger. Okay, that is how it can become a powerful constructive energy instead of a big, scary, destructive energy. And remember, anger is a cue for an unmet need in you. Okay, so the nuts and bolts of this process starts with the pause. Viktor Frankl once said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. That little space means the world. In this space, we have the capacity to use anger as a cue to attend to your hurt and your unmet needs. And if you don't pause, folks, you don't have a chance to build new neural pathways. So when you feel that anger starting to come up in you, instead of fixating outward, instead of swinging your arms wildly in the blindness of anger, you're going to pause to find that unmet need. Okay, we're going to stop and we're going to bring that inquiry inward. Now, how do we do that? Well, first of all, it's easy when it's online. Okay, for example, we can just step away. If it's an in-person thing, sometimes we have to make an excuse, go to the bathroom. Okay, we need to go to the washroom. We need a breather, whatever it is. Okay. And if you can't do that, then what you need to do is you need to put this anger on the shelf and come back to it when you have more space and the ability to be able to process it. Okay. My golden rule, some of you who have worked with me for a while, you know this golden rule. The more compelled you feel to react to something immediately, the longer you should wait to respond. Okay? You want to hear that again? Because this one has saved me so many times. The more that you feel driven to react to something right away, the more it means you need to stop and wait. Okay? Because it means that you have lost the frontal cortex and you are in the reptile brain. And that is not the place that where no good comes of that. So instead, I'm going to ask you, when that feeling of anger starts to heat up, starts to rise up in you, stop in whatever way you can. So let's just say you're online and you're in the middle of a talk with somebody in a Facebook post, and somebody says something and you just feel the heat and you just want to type up and throw something back at them. What you would do instead is you would stop. Maybe you would close your eyes. And first of all, you'd allow the feeling. Okay, this isn't about stopping it. It isn't about repressing it. And you would maybe do it with that compassionate and sort of allowing vibe, not like, oh, you idiot, you're getting angry again. It would be more with that vibe of, let's just stop for a second. Everybody gets angry. It's just part of the weather of being alive, honey. Let's breathe into it. Okay, it's about having some compassion for yourself. Now, some of you that are a little bit of a spicier form of anger, like me, are going to say, hell no, I'm not going to be able to do that. I can't pause and just like get sweet with myself and chill. No, you're vibrating. Like I said, you're like can't see straight. If you're really activated, you are going to need an extra step. Okay. In that case, you need to break out of this hostage situation. You need to break out of this sort of activation that's gripped you and is not letting you go. Okay, you need to release some of that energy that just got activated. And I'm a big fan of this. I use this a lot. It's this idea that, needing to honor and work through the energy of that anger. And not, this isn't always necessary. Like sometimes we get to this place where we can, just by coming inward and getting a little bit more tender, we can diffuse the anger. But that's not always, that's not always available to us. And especially if the threat has been big. Um, so, just to remember, we can't control emotions coming up. We can't control the anger coming up. We can't make ourselves wrong for that. But what we want is to hope to have the consciousness of being able to be deliberate about what to do with that anger. Okay. And hopefully that means working with it in a way that doesn't involve harming yourself or others. So, okay, so this intermediate step, we're going to take some time on this because this is where this is basically the pattern breaker right here. The first thing that I love to do is I love a good shake it out. I have been shaking it out a lot lately. So what I want you to do is I just want you to close your eyes for a second. And I want you, and if you're self-conscious, turn your camera off. It's okay. And I just want you to bring to mind this situation that, this anger situation that I asked you to sort of tune into. And let's make it as real as possible. Okay, I want you to notice where you are when this anger came up or comes up. I want you to look down at your feet in this place. Look at the ground, the floor beneath you. I want you to feel the temperature in the room. I want you to hear the noises in this environment where this anger comes up for you. Sounds. I want you to notice if there's somebody else there in person or through the computer or phone, or whether you're completely on your own. Okay. And I just want you to feel where in your body this is. Is it in your chest? Is it in your throat? Like, do you feel your throat getting really clenched? Maybe it's in your upper stomach. Maybe it's in your shoulders. Maybe it's in your face, your forehead. And wherever it feels the strongest, I want you now to take a huge big breath right into that sensation. And on the exhale, I want you to shake out your whole body, okay? I want you to shake out your shoulders. I want you to shake out the head. I want you to shake out the expression on your face. I want you to shake out the hips. I want you to shake out the arms. I want you to shake out the hands. I want you to shake out everything, even the lips. Oh, just shaking it all out. Oh. And then letting everything go slack, keeping your eyes closed, just letting that energy stream out of you. And now coming back to eyes open. Okay. So how do you feel? I'd love to hear in the chat what that felt like. And what this does is so emotions have energy, they hold a lot of energy in them. And so it's sometimes not good enough to just change your mindset. You got to change your body. You've got to actually use your physicality to send a message to the brain that this stops, okay, or that we're breaking this pattern, that we're letting go, we're releasing. Sarah says that was nice. Yeah. Like I said, these days with all the stuff coming at us, I do know, even if it's just a quick little, 2-second shakeout, I'm doing those a lot. Robert said I did subtle jazz hands. My boss wasn't looking. I love it. Yeah. And honestly, folks, it doesn't have to be something as dramatic as that. I mean, if you're in a situation, say you're in a meeting and something, the anger is rising up, even just very deep breaths and on the exhale, just, you know, um, uh, I had a friend who used to like in situations where she couldn't be sort of big, he thought about flushing the anger down the toilet, and she would just do this little with her hand, like flushing the toilet, and feel the anger going down. So it's just a little form of releasing some of that energy. Um, Another really good way I feel of sort of decompressing some of the anger is something called a mind dump. Now, some of you have done lots of work with me and you've done this lots of times, but I don't think we can ever get enough mind dumps. So I want you to grab a piece of paper and we're just going to do this for 3 minutes. All right. Grab a piece of paper, anything that you can write with. Now, a mind dump is really just a way to take that energy that is bouncing around in your head, fueled by all these thoughts, the energy that's in your body, and it's about taking it and just getting it through your body, through your hand, through the pen, and onto that piece of paper. Okay. I don't want it to be neat. I don't care about the spelling or the grammar. I just want you to write what is happening for you onto the piece of paper. All right. And it doesn't have to be full sentences, even. Sometimes when I do a mind dump, it's like, oh, I'm writing something with a full sentence, and then I just like feel like I'm just like burning, heavy. I'll just write down qualities that I'm feeling. So I want to try this right now. So grabbing a piece, grabbing your paper, grabbing a pen, and for 3 minutes, I just want you to write, and I want you to write everything that is coming up for you, everything you're feeling, every sensation that's coming, just getting out of you and onto that piece of paper. Are you ready? On your mark, get set, and go. And don't forget to breathe. Continue to breathe, just whatever is in you, get it onto the piece of paper. Okay, just taking in 10 more seconds to wrap that up. Okay. So I just wanted you to have a little experience of this. The mind dump is helpful for a few reasons. It is again, once again, a physical sort of cathartic way of taking, that energy that is in you and giving it an exit route. Second of all, it often puts what feels like big scary monsters in your mind onto into black and white, and sometimes those monsters dissipate a little bit by putting it on the piece of paper. I actually do a mind dump every morning, part of my daily practice. It's not where I start, but it is, it's definitely a part that I do. And I do it longer than 3 minutes. I usually do at least 5 minutes. And it's just really where's the, it's to find out where the temperature is. It's a time, a place to be able to express my pain, my anger, to not be diplomatic, to not censor. And it's very helpful for me. So yeah, so it's just, and it's a really great little tool to use on the spot. If you're just feeling so up to here with stuff, to just take it and just, just, and sometimes if you don't even feel like writing, just doodle, okay? You can do a visual mind dump. So get crayons out and do something, more intuitive. Um, so yeah, I'd be curious to know how the mind dump felt for you. Karen said, I regularly shake it out thanks to you. Yeah, sometimes I just have to remember to do it. That's why I think shaking out is, I mean, you can use obviously anger as a cue for it. Whenever you feel a little bit of anger, frustration is a good cue for shaking it out. But also, if you feel like you could just use a good shakeout every day, put it in your reminders once a day, and just for good emotional hygiene, do a little shakeout. Uh, Gerbine says, I heard your voice in my head last week when I was going through a real angry situation, and it felt great to shake it out and do a real reset. All is well now. I'm so glad to hear it. Okay. Um, so a few other things that kind of break the pattern. Yeah, Patricia says it feels good to jot it all down and let it go. Okay, so a few other things that are pattern breakers, okay, that kind of can kick you out of the trance of anger. Um, I do find like I run. Some people do other kind of cardio, but like I'll put angry music on, folks. Like if I'm feeling a lot of frustration, I actually have an angry list. I have an angry playlist. Yes, I do. And I put that on and I run into the anger. Okay. I let myself feel it. The pounding on the ground. Like the look on I'm scrunching my face. I'm letting myself really be in that anger, go into it. Okay. And eventually I feel like it just takes about 3 or 4 songs and I've run through the anger. And then I'm ready to put on something more relaxing. Yeah, Max says heavy metal, bang your head. Yeah, punk music, metal. Yeah, I love Rage Against the Machine for this kind of thing. Yeah, it's amazing. Um, and then the other thing that I really like to do is I like to I sometimes like to do what I call a deliberate temper tantrum. Okay, so you feel the anger rising up, and this is where Cher says Rage Against the Machine in the car is a mom secret. I love it. Cher, I think you and I probably danced to Rage Against the Machine back in our university days in the early 90s. Um, yeah, likely. So, yeah, so a deliberate temper tantrum. You know how kids, you see them in the store and they want something and they can't get it, and so they just lose their shit and they're, on the floor and they're screaming and tears are going everywhere and yelling and everything. And then, a minute later, they're okay. It's just like, okay, what's next? It's because they allow themselves to express physically and cathartically their anger. Now, I'm not suggesting you go to Costco and have, go ballistic. But what I am saying is if you are on your own, why not? Why not just take 30 seconds to get up and, to pound your feet and to go up and yell and do whatever, flip your arms, do whatever you need to get to it. Okay. It is so good. It's so freeing. And again, the bathroom, when you're in a public place, be your best friend. Just make sure it's not a stall. Make sure it's one of those private bathrooms and just go for it. You can do a silent one. You can do but just that idea of allowing this energy, to have an outlet. Okay. And you know what? One of the really big guns that I love to bring out is if I've been holding a lot of anger, um, I do something called dancing my anger, or you can call it moving in your anger. And that angry playlist I talked about. Well, it's about choosing a couple of songs that like really amplify that anger for you. So yeah, Max is saying I make animal liberation lyrics to heavy metal. And so, taking a few songs and putting them on and then just letting your body express the anger. Okay. Just letting your body move in whatever way you need, punching, kicking, like writhing on the ground, whatever it is, pulling it out of you. That can be really great. This isn't right for everybody. Okay. Some people, their systems are more sensitive. They are sometimes, people that have been really heavily traumatized. This can backfire. So be very careful, be gentle with this experiment. It's not going to work for everybody, but it can be a really great way to clear the space. So we're going to come back to this in a second. I might want to give you a little taste of this. But what I want to do is I want you to just take note of one of those tools and to use it as to have it on the ready so that when anger next comes up, you can pull this out. Okay. And this is basically, folks, so that the pain doesn't get so lodged in your system. The anger, the pain doesn't get so lodged. And you can use this for any pain. It doesn't have to just be anger. All right. So that was the sort of the disruptor, the way to be able to break up some of that anger, that energy, so that you can get to this next most important place. All right. This is the time to identify and attend to that unmet need that the anger is pointing to. All right. So when we act out, it means we're kind of fixated on getting this unmet need met outside of ourselves. And what we actually need to do first, I'm not saying that other people aren't also responsible for helping us with our needs, that other people haven't sort of agreed to do this and sort of come into contract with you around this, a relationship contract. But in order to not be so desperate, that you lose your power because of your impatience for this need to be met, we need to go inward. We need to get familiar with it, and we need to work with the need that is actually beneath the anger. So I just want to reiterate, I'm not saying there's never a reason to get aggressive, to protect what you care about, to sort of save a situation. But we want to be deliberate. If we ever have to become loud and fierce, we want it to be deliberate. We don't want it to be led by uncontrollable anger. Okay. And we especially don't want it to be led by uncontrollable anger that came up because you're feeling really raw and somebody rubbed up against it. So being able to check in and go, okay, what's really happening underneath that's, yes, there's a very good reason that I should be standing up to this person and being fierce in my stance. But what is happening that's making me lose my shit? Okay, that's really the question here. What is happening underneath that has caused me to leave my power behind and enter into this uncontrollable place? Okay, that's let me spiral out of my power and into this anger. So I'm not going to tell, I'm going to show for this. Okay. So, the thing that I'd love to do right now is I want to take you through how this sort of exploration goes. And I want you to do it like connected to this place of anger in you. But first of all, I promised we would return to the release techniques. Okay, I want to do this big out, guys, so that you really have an experience of this, and then we're going to go right into this inner exploration. Okay, so this is what I want you to do. I want you to get on your feet. You can turn your camera off again if you're self-conscious. You can whatever you need to do, or just step out of the way of the camera. And what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes, and I want you once again to connect to this situation of anger that is a pattern that comes up regularly or that has come up recently. And once again, I want you to make it as real as possible. Where are you? What's around you? What are you hearing in this situation? What are you smelling? Who's there? Who's involved? And really notice how you're holding yourself. Really notice, are your shoulders up? Are you tightening things? Have your eyes gotten kind of squinty? Are you kind of in lunge position? And I want you to notice again, where in your body is this anger residing? Where are you holding it? This, resentment or frustration or rage that has taken up residence. Something that you have been dealing with for a long time, folks. Something that feels really alive for you right now. Really cutting. Where in your body are you feeling it? What's the sensation? And when the music starts, I want you to start breaking up that sensation as much as possible. Whether you shake it out, whether you tear it out, whether you kick it out, whether you hit it out, whatever you do on your mark, get set, and go. Amazing. Thank you, everybody. Coming back to your feet and just staying in this place of silence, closing your eyes and letting some of that energy start to stream out of you. Nice heavy exhale. And just feel like maybe there's just a little bit of a break, just a little bit of a crack in what you might have been stuck in. And now in that crack, your eyes closed or cast down, I want you to just follow my voice. So, first of all, finding yourself in this situation, coming back to this place in your body where you really feel. And I want you to just notice, now that some of this anger has been sort of broken up. What's beneath it? What's the tenderness that's beneath it? And to help you find this, you might ask yourself, as my teacher Tara Brock says, what is it you're unwilling to feel? What am I unwilling to feel? You might ask this place in your body, this place that holds so much energy. You might say something like, buddy, what has gotten you so scared? What's hurt you? What's hurting? In this situation where the anger is so strong, it's the fear or hurt beneath it. What are you believing about yourself or others or the world? And it could be, I'm afraid they think that I'm stupid. It could be that I'm afraid everything's going to change and nothing is ever going to be safe again. Could be, I feel completely alone in this. It could be, they don't care for me. They don't really care for me. It could be, I feel like I'm bad. Just really noticing what's coming up, noticing what that vulnerable place in you is holding. And now I want you to really see if we can get our frontal cortex back online. And I know that you are all here so capable of understanding, of love, of compassion, of caring. So this part that's just expressed to you, their pain, are there words that you could say back to it? Is there a feeling that you could surround it with? Hold it in to make it feel, to heal it. Like maybe words like, sweetie, you know that they don't know who you are. How can you how can you take what they say to be a reflection of you? Where it can be, don't worry, I'm here with you always. Or it could be, hey, I know we're not perfect, but we're a good person. Or if it's just an energy, it might be an energy of wrapping your sort of big, compassionate arms around this vulnerable place. Or it might be to free it, to just like open it up and let it soar, free, liberated. Or it might be to be playful with it, to tickle it. What is this part calling for? What does it need the most? And bring that energy to it as much as you're capable of right here and now. Don't hold back. Don't wait. Don't make it dependent on someone else. Bring that energy to it now. Because you know what? This part of you couldn't yearn for this energy if it wasn't already a part of you. Shower it with the energy with what it needs. Oh. Let's take some deep breaths to really ground that. One more big deep breath. And letting go with a big exhale and just giving yourself a nice little groovy shake out. Oh. And coming back to eyes. So I'd be really curious. I'd love to know. Actually, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to open it up and I'd love to hear if there's anybody that would like to share um, what feeling it was that was underneath the anger. Anybody? Yeah, Alem, give yourself an unmute.
I actually wasn't. I didn't
Oh,
raise.
you weren't volunteering. Can I volunteer you?
Yeah.
Alem is
Yeah.
yeah. What came up for you underneath the anger? What was the feeling?
The feeling of is that yeah, nobody cares. I'm doing this on my own. Everybody's flaky.
Mm.
Nobody's serious about this. Only me.
Yeah. So really, I'm alone in this. Like, I'm alone in this. I'm carrying this by myself. And that aloneness is very disempowering. You're cut off from the majesty, the power, the wisdom, the love of this entire universal nature that you're a part of.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so, what was, did anything come up when I said, what does it need? What do you need to say to it? Or what energy do you need to surround it with? Did anything come up for you around that?
Yeah. I can do things alone, but it's just sometimes a lot of work. So I don't mind. It's not that I need the company, but I need help because certain things I can't do on my own. I can't move mountains on my own.
Yeah.
So it's needing help, needing support.
Yeah. And so the reaction to that part is to say, could be to say, well, it could be to say words. It could be to say, look, buddy, um, I'm here. I'm never gonna leave you. Um, but you deserve some help. Okay, you deserve some help. So let's open up to that. Let's really open up to that. Or you could respond to it in just a feeling, Elam, and the feeling could be the feeling of the wide open sky and just being connected to everybody and everything through this Mother Earth and sky, and just remembering that as much as it may feel like you're alone, you're never alone. Okay, so really in that time, just being able to feel it out, and the more you do this kind of thing, the more it's going to really become much more tangible. It's going to come to you faster. But this whole idea of really talking to that part and saying what's going on, what's the fear, what's the hurt, and what do you need? What do you need from me right now? Okay. Thank you, Elam. Thank you so much for,
May I ask? It's
yeah,
not basically giving myself because I'm the kind of personality that always has have to find solutions. So it's not about at the moment telling myself, "Oh yeah, we'll find you help." It's not about giving solutions. It's a bit literally just giving, even if I don't believe in it myself.
yeah, yeah.
You're not alone. You'll get help. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's really just it's regulating your system. It's making this part of you that feels like they are about to die, like that they need to be in survival mode. It's saying it's gonna be okay, and in whatever way you need to say that, in whatever way that part needs to hear it, is what you're gonna do. Because once you have that energy, okay, once there's that more expansive energy in you, then you can go into the solution. Okay, that's when you've got your frontal cortex back online, and that's when you can make nuanced decisions. Okay, awesome. Thank you. If anybody else wants to share what came up for them, and what the antidote was, put it in the chat. I would love to hear. I would love to see more of this. And I'm going to actually open it up. Like if we have just a couple more minutes before 8:30, I just have one last part to do, and then I'll open it up a little bit. Okay. So the once you have sort of taken yourself out of that place of danger, of threat, of aloneness, of separation, now you're in a place to be able to take action. Okay. Now the anger has become instructive, because you can now use this information as an inner compass to guide you in responding in a more intelligent and probably a more compassionate way, but definitely a more powerful way. Okay. Now, I want to make it clear that this doesn't mean being passive. This doesn't mean stepping down. It means sometimes it means being fierce. Sometimes it means being loud and getting in people's face, but it's done from a place of deliberateness, power, and expansiveness. It has a different energy to it. Now, the people on the other side may not pick up on that energy, but it's going to be energy that's not going to eat away at you from the inside out. That's the first priority. Okay. Now, so taking action could mean taking responsibility. It could mean maybe you really find that you've gone astray in that interaction. Maybe it means apologizing. Maybe it means creating a plan to deal with this unmet need, just like we were talking about with Elam. Maybe it's about creating healing steps to cultivate the relationship that you're getting angry in. So it's what do we need to do to help ourselves? Okay. Now, this is often going to involve boundaries. Not always, but often it's going to involve setting some boundaries. So basically, the ultimate goal here is to become as self-resourced as possible so that you're not as easily thrown off by others, and you don't need tons of support and validation. But who doesn't need some support and validation? We all do. Okay, we're all human. So that is where boundaries come in. Boundaries or asks. Okay, requests. So I want you to imagine a little sapling, okay? And this sapling is going to grow into something very big and strong and powerful someday. But in the meantime, it might need a little fence around it, okay, to protect it from some of the elements. That's what we're like, okay? We aren't necessarily as big and strong and haven't grown into our full potential yet. Sometimes we have, sometimes we haven't. And when we haven't, we may need to put some boundaries around things. Okay. We need to be able to nurture and nourish ourselves, to be open to, to be able to grow into our full potential. Okay. And when you make those boundaries, you're going to have to play with them. You may find you'll make a boundary and you're like, it's too rigid. And you may make a boundary and it's too soft. So, boundaries need some playing with. And the other, of course, action may involve speaking out. Okay. And speaking out, convincing, continuing the debate, but doing it with a deliberateness. Okay. If it's in yours and the world's best interest to defend something or influence something, then you do that with love in your heart and you do it with deliberateness. So just a couple of key things I want to mention. When you speak out, in a way, this is a little list of questions I've developed over the years to ask myself before taking part. If righteous indignation is coming up, this is what I do to check myself. Okay. So 1, does what I'm saying have anything to do with making the other party feel inferior or making myself feel superior in some way? Number 2, have I tried to put myself in the other person's shoes so I can deal with them from a place of understanding and compassion? 3, Is this coming from the reactive, wounded child in me or my most expansive, loving, and wise self? Number 4, does what I'm saying have a shaming energy to it? Number 5, does this invite dialogue or does it aim to shut things down? And 6, am I drawing lines or am I looking for a commonality? So am I drawing dividing lines or am I looking for commonalities? And then if I feel satisfied with the answers, folks, I know I'm ready to speak out, and I can speak out strongly and fiercely if I need to. All right. Cher said, quick question. Are you sending this replay? I am indeed, darling. Okay. A lot of my regulars, we were going, only went to 8:15 usually, and I made this 8:30 because I was always going over. So I'm sorry if that didn't get communicated clearly enough. All right. So the last thing I want to say, if you're not sure what action comes next, folks, after you have A, taken the pause, B, done like a release of some of the energy, C, checked in with your inner self about that unmet need and found a way to bring a different energy to it, then the next step is, what do I take for action? And if you're not sure what it is, this is what you could ask yourself. And again, this is something I learned from Tara Brach, and that is the question, what is love asking? What does love want? Okay, what is love asking? What does love want? Okay, so, in the case of Elam, it may be to be able to go, you know what, I need to have some heart to hearts with some people. And I need to be able to say, I know your heart is in the right place, but I'm really struggling here. These are the, couple of things I would really need you to sort of step up with. Is that something that you could see yourself doing? So just getting that buy-in. So if you ask, what does love want? Love might want you to not be in that relationship any longer. What does love want? Love may want you to get, big and fierce and really stand your ground. Okay. What does love want? Love may want you to surrender and step back. Okay. Yeah, I can't tell you what love's going to want. It's all about you, but it's about the process of getting to this place where you can connect deeply enough and trust what comes from that place. Okay. I'm just going to open it. We just have a couple of minutes left, folks. Any questions? Any questions? Anything that came up that you would like some clarity on? I'm all ears. Can I get one more person to share what, when you checked in under the anger, what feeling was there? What the feeling was? Who's a brave soul that might share? Yeah, Sarah, I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, that the unmute on the phone is here. I'm gonna put a button up that's gonna ask you to unmute. That help? There you are. Oh, no. There you are. Gotcha.
I got stuck in special effects. I didn't want any. Yeah, it was interesting. It was actually kind of similar. The base need to Elam's. I hope I'm pronouncing that properly.
Elam's, yeah.
But it was like a different dynamic. It was actually something that happened today. So I was in like a pretty good amount of rage coming into this. So, and already through all these things, it's actually really helped. And I've been using it while we've been going through, and I feel very different now. I'll be quick about what the issue was. It's somebody who has I've realized somebody has a bit of a campaign against me. And it's something that has happened as a pattern over time with different people. And so it was really nice to kind of dance and get the energy out, but then to have that meditation that was guided. I actually think it was really helpful that it was guided. I feel like that helps me. Like, I don't know if you have any intention of making an audio track for us for that.
Yeah, I would love that. I mean, I'll just take it from here.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
that helped to have an external voice kind of guiding me through that process. And
Hmm.
then it was a similar thing of like, people are unsafe and I'm alone. And I can't, I I don't have the energy to fend this type of campaign off, and it's exhausting and it's draining and it's tiring. And then but through that process, even realizing that that was what was being triggered was helpful.
Yeah.
But
Because it was so
then
tender, right, darling? It was so tender, like to get into that tenderness, right?
yeah, and
Mm.
also just to be able to get out of the intensity of the anger and wanting to like take this person down, like,
Yeah.
and knowing
Yes.
that that's not helpful, but being in
Hmm.
it, it's hard. So getting out of that, getting underneath to realize, oh, this is actually triggering me because it's connected to a whole bunch of stuff. And then to get under that and being like, oh, it's because it feels like people are unsafe and that they won't help me and they won't be supportive or, yeah, like loving and kind and
Hmm.
working together energy or whatever. So yeah, that
Yeah.
feeling of being alone, which I think is often where people's pain come from, the feeling of separation and being alone and being abandoned.
Mm. Mm.
But yeah, it was really helpful to like have these tools to dislodge it from
Mm.
my direct brain and experience and body, and then understand what was underneath it. And then that part where you got us to say the soothing things that we needed to hear, that really helped calm down the activation of like that wounded part. Um,
Mm.
so I
What
thought
kind of
that was
things did you say, Sarah? Like what were a couple of the things that you said?
there was some of the things that you were saying. It was like,
Hmm.
you're not alone. It's okay.
Hmm.
You're always going to be there for you.
Yeah.
Um, I don't remember what else, but it was just very soothing things. And it was like, even if you don't believe it's true, just say it because there's a
Yeah.
calming effect anyway.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
and yeah, I found it really helped. And it just felt like this process felt like a helpful tool if I ever am like, it was really lucky that I was really angry today because I
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
haven't been that
absolutely.
angry in the last little while, but this person really did it for me today.
You're like,
So,
thank
yeah,
you, teacher.
thank you so much. Oh, tip my hat to you.
Uh,
So yeah,
mm,
so it was really helpful to be in the state and then go through this process because I just got to see that it does really work. And
mhm.
this dynamic with this person is not going to end tomorrow. So this might be helpful to have these tools
Yeah.
moving forward for the next couple weeks while things are navigated. Uh,
Mm. And can I say one more thing, Sarah, and this applies to everybody. I'm also may have made it sound like it all has to be about self-resourcing, but you can also say to yourself, there are a lot of people who love you, Sarah.
mhm.
Okay? Because, honey, there are so many people that love you, including me. And
Thank you.
so I think it's really important for you to, like it doesn't have to all be about self, support. It can be, you're safe in this home, you're in a safe country. There are people that would come to your, rescue if you really ask, you things like that. Like it can
Yeah.
it can expand out. It doesn't just have to be about self-reliance.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that sometimes the belief that no one is there makes you too self-reliant.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
sometimes the proper resourcing is actually to remind that support is out there and when triggered, it becomes so one-pointed, like everybody's like this and nobody does this, and that's not true at all.
Yeah,
But so yeah, that's a
absolutely.
good point. And I like that you were talking about boundaries is
Hmm.
often something that comes in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you for sharing, darling. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Please unmute me. I don't know if I can handle this.
Well,
I mean,
I'd
please
like
mute me.
everybody to come off of mute because
Oh,
we're about to say goodbye. Everybody, thank you so much for being with joining us and being part of this an important part of this circle. I this is a great topic for change makers, and I'm so glad you were here. And thank you so much for bringing your vulnerability and your enthusiasm to tonight. I'm going to be resuming doing the Changemaker sessions right now once a month, but I may start going twice a month again. I have a quick question. Folks, for the weeks that I'm not doing a full-on workshop, Would anybody be interested in doing meditation? Like just a short, like half an hour guided meditation session? Jackie would be interested in that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Carrie. Yeah. Just, it might be something that I put out there. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Thank you for letting me know. I thought maybe just being able to touch base every week if people want to come and be able to do a guided meditation, different guided meditations, and maybe also just open it up for a few questions if people have them that they've arisen during the week. So, okay, I'll keep you posted on that. It's something I've been thinking about doing. All right. Okay, thank you, everybody. Sending you lots of love. Have a great night, okay?
Thank you. That
Thank
was great.
you.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Bye,
you.
sweethearts. Take good care of yourself.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.